let's keep going. Right. So next we're going to go to Gavin in Hartlepool. Gavin,
Hello, Gavin.
Hello, Harris.
How are you doing up in Hartlepool today?
It's a bit windy.
I bet it is.
Always is though. My question is, do you think the rising costs of degrees and unpaid internships are going to cause a huge change in the fashion industry?
I think it will across every single, not just creatively, but creative industries, but of all degrees. There's going to be a lot of people who historically able to get onto courses physically aren't going to be able, and it's a really big concern. I think that it's kind of it's a big worry. I think from certain people who won't be able to to do degrees, but there's always going to be a way for them to get their work done, and it is going to cause a shift. I think it has been since I graduated, though. It was kind of from like 1992 onwards. It's almost been in a kind of, I wouldn't say a decline in that way, but it's been a concern and a difficulty where you're just getting a lot of wealthy students who aren't always very good, and I think that's a big worry. But the good will always win through somewhere and somehow.
Okay, we're going to go to Emily for a sort of slightly different take on the fashion industry. Emily, can we have your question?
Okay, hiya.
Hello, Emily.
Right. Basically, I just wanted to know, how would you approach working in the event side of the fashion industry? So,
in like a sort of fashion production.
Yeah, well, like events. So like, I didn't know whether to go into the bigger ones or to maybe start with like Fashion House and do their sort of.
Well, I mean, my advice would be that there's a number of really good ones that do work all over the world, all over the UK, and kind of send your CV and try and get some placement work with them or more. And they're always looking. The good thing about that is that they're always looking for people to work kind of on a freelance basis as well for projects. So kind of while you're at college, you could are you still at college?
Yeah, I'm just finishing now. So
okay, so yeah, I mean, there's a number of good ones from kind of Six Up to Gainsborough and Whiting, Inca Productions. I mean, just a few off the top of my head now, and they have, the good thing is that they do really interesting like big things for like BMW or God knows what, and then fashion shows and a whole host of things. And it's I mean, that's one thing I think that's really important is for people to think, obviously have a really good idea of what you want to do, be it design or events, whatever, but to kind of also be open to, as time goes on, it might be that there might be other things within the kind of industry as a whole that you're really suited to and could enjoy, and you can get work in there and then find other ways of doing your design as well. It doesn't, it's not just being a big designer is that like that's the only thing available. Yeah. I think it's you have to be flexible. I've done all sorts of jobs within the fashion industry as well, so it's kind of you have to be, I think the more experience you get from all sorts of different areas, the more people you meet, the more you kind of going to be able to kind of network of sorts.
Okay. Can we go back to Jade in Nottingham? Can we have second question?
Jade's back.
I'm back. What do you do when you get artistic block? Because it's a nightmare.
Artistic block.
Do you ever get it?
What a real answer, Jade. But I think that's one of your jobs as a designer is to make sure that you don't. So you have to put a lot of work in, going to exhibitions or whatever the thing is that inspires you. Is it going to whatever club nearby, or going to the countryside and kind of thinking and working. I mean, it's a part. I wouldn't call it a curse, or a blessing really. But it's one of the things that I think as a designer does is that you're thinking all the time. Your brain's always working. Yeah. It's not like you suddenly go, oh, today's design day. I'll best get inspired. You just naturally should be absorbing everything and just like, oh, these. Whatever's great, I like that band, I like that exhibition, or whatever the thing is that really gets you going. And I think also keep lots of like notebooks and sketchbooks. I find really helpful because you can have so many ideas when you're like on a train or just dicking about at home, and you kind of forget about them the next day, and just to kind of quickly jot them down and just keep them there as quick references, and then when you are sat going over them all and to make a bit of a kind of inspirational plan or whatever, you've got them all there. So many, I guarantee there'd be hundreds of things you would have forgotten. that seemingly unimportant, or seeing a shop window you like, or I don't know, church spire or whatever thing you're into. It's just keeping track of all of those things.
Yeah.
Sketchbooks are really good.
Thank you.
I'm a big advocate of everybody keeping sketchbooks. It doesn't have to be beautiful drawings, but just things, and it just keeps it really personal. And it's like when people bring their books in, I like to see books that are really clear, slick, and professional, but also a really good, interesting, personal sketchbook, so I can get a bit of an insight into what gets you going, and what's outside of you just as a professional person. What are those other interests? What's your thing? What you into?
Thank you.
Okay. Going to go to Lois for your second question.
Okay, so my second question is, do you have any tips on being successful, sustaining individuality, sustaining individuality, so making sure that you keep that going, and how would you get the right recognition?
How do you get? Sorry, Lois? Can you say that again?
Yeah, sure. Do you have any tips on being successful, keeping individuality and getting the right recognition?
I think, the honest answer is that you've just got to do your work really, and work really hard, and if I know it all sounds really obvious, but and be prepared to delegate as well, and if you've got a team of people working with you as things are growing, be able to be comfortable to delegate ideas and other aspects of your work, and working with people, because you just physically can't and mentally can't do it all on your own. And it's that will enable it to get a better work out of everybody and a work out of your studio. And that's really important. And I think the thing from being successful, obviously it's important, but I kind of think if you have a good focus of what you're about and what your thing is, and kind of really keep on honing that and reevaluating that and making sure that you always go back to that as your focus and focus of your work, then it'll keep on being you, and it'll be special, and people will hopefully be interested. Other than that, I think there's a bit of luck in the mix, and just lots of hard work. It really is. I as you guys know, as well as I do, how much work you have to do. But it's when you say starting your own business, it's that and times 10.